I mean, again, you're at Woodward, so I don't think it's a problem, but if you did have a provider that was like that, you might want to think about that. That I want to be able to have water or Gatorade, or if I'm feeling like eating, I want to be able to eat, because you're fueling your body. So think about that, whether or not you are allowed to eat and drink there. That's another thing, guys. If she's not in the mood for eating, or if she's, at a point where she can't eat, hey, come on. You might want to go out of the room to eat your nice juicy burger so that you're not tormenting her. Just a tip. Come on in. There's a deal back here. Okay, we'll finish this slide and then we can go get our lunches and then come back. Freedom of movement. Okay, so obviously we'll talk about this a little bit more, but that is so incredibly important in easing your contractions and in helping baby work its way down. So you need to make sure that you're going to have that at your facility, okay? What is entailed in that is monitoring and IVs. Those are the things that can possibly chain you to a bed, okay? You can talk to your doctor about if you are a low risk pregnancy, you could just ask for intermittent monitoring. Like, I don't want to wear the belt all the time. I don't want to have, stuff on me all the time. Can we just have an agreement that you check baby's heartbeat every 30 minutes or whatever it is that you agree to with the doctor? Ask about intermittent monitoring.
Woodward has a Bluetooth monitor that sticks to your belly.
Fabulous.
Yes, I was actually the very first person that ever got to use it.
Okay.
I was
See,
pretty excited.
I love what I'm learning from you guys. This is great. Because I had a belt. Okay.
That's what I had too.
Right?
And
And if
I
you
like both. And I love the Bluetooth monitor because I pee a lot.
Yes.
I have a small bladder and I'm pregnant.
Right.
So getting up every 5 minutes to go to the bathroom when you've got to have them strap you up,
Yeah.
you spend more time strapping and unstrapping
Then you do actually peeing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you do actually attach. So then they finally said, all right, we're going to bring you the Bluetooth one. The only thing was is I like to sit straight up because it
And it
helped with, the comfort. And it kept taking the baby off the monitor, so they made me get back on the belt.
So that is, okay, so the portable monitoring systems are great. I mean, the belts still, at least the one I had was one where I could get up and walk around with it, but it was still a belt that was, just Velcroed around me. Or if it's a Bluetooth thing and stuff like that, the stuff that's stuck to you, if you just move just a little bit the wrong way and it loses the baby's heartbeat and what it's supposed to be monitoring, well, that's a problem. Then they want to mess with it and everything, and so you're not as free to just move around and do what you want to do. Especially, like if you want to get down on the floor in one of our poses that we're going to do later, that might mess things up. And so, and I don't know what Woodward would say. I don't know if they would do this or not. But if they'll do intermittent monitoring, and if everything's going fine and they just want to check every once in a while, that's something you might ask them about. If they, it may be policy that you have to have something on, but the Bluetooth thing sounds good. That might be less fidgety or that's the word I'm looking for, less likely to cut out than the belt. I know that the belt on me just doesn't stay where it's supposed to,
It rides up.
Yeah. So freedom of movement, you want to think about how your baby's being monitored. Now, IVs. Okay, so as soon as you start getting any sort of drugs of any kind, you have to get an IV. Okay, as soon as you get an epidural or anything, even if it's just an epidural, the IV is because they have to give you fluids, saline or whatever. They have to pump you full of fluids. So as soon as you start having any kind of an intervention, you're going to have to get an IV. Now, they may not have to have you hooked up and directly to something all the time, so that's when you want to ask about a HEP lock. And I don't know exactly what, I'm not a medical professional, but, real quick, these ladies are from Sweet Owls. They brought our lunch, and thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. They're a local bakery here in Shattuck, so if you need birthday cakes for other kids or 1-year birthdays for this new one, anyways, we'll get into that later, or we can talk about that over lunch. But anyways, the HEP lock is literally like they go ahead and put the needle in and they tape it all down, and then you just have a tube that sticks out that's locked. That's all it is, okay? And actually, Hep, I think is the guy's name. I don't know. I can't remember why it's called a Hep block exactly. But
On my birth plan, it's called a saline lock.
okay, so you can ask for that, there is a test that they do at the end that sometimes there are women that need antibiotics. In fact, I think I was one that needed it. I can't remember the name.
Strep B.
Thank you. So if you test positive for that, then they'll want to put you on antibiotics right there when you're about ready to push, and it has to just do with whatever the infection is, or I don't really understand it completely, but I had to have antibiotics, and it's right when you're about ready to push your baby out. Well, they can put you on a Hep block, and then you don't have to be hooked up to a pole. You just it's just ready to go whenever they're ready to put something in you. And then if you did decide you wanted an epidural, well then then they can put that in. So talk to your doctor about how, whether or not they automatically put IVs in you, and if they do, you want the Hep block, or do they wait until you actually need something? But think about that when you're talking about freedom of movement, is what your IV is going to do to your movement. IVs and monitoring. We talked about checking your progress and how, you want to find out how often they do it, and if they absolutely have to do it, or if that was the dilation thing that we talked about a little bit ago. Again, pushing, whether it's you doing it as you feel like doing it, or if they coach your pushing, and what are the benefits and risks of both sides of it. Now, this was interesting. So I don't think I've told you this either. When I was crowning, when I had a baby coming out of me, they're like, oh, the baby's head's here. Do you want to touch the head? Touch your baby? And I'm like, what? No, what? I'm in the middle of pushing. So I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I want to reach down and feel my baby, But I've watched videos now where there's some women that reach down there and they help deliver their baby, right? I mean, because literally there's not much to it. It's just coming out, and you get to put your hands and touch and feel your baby as it comes out. Looking back, I think, well, that might have been kind of cool. But I hadn't thought about it beforehand. And so when they offered it, I was like, no, I'm busy. Why are you asking me questions? No, I don't want to touch my baby's head, right? So some people want to see it happening, and the hospital will offer you a mirror. They can put a mirror down there, and you can see your baby's head come out. I mean, if that weirds you out, you don't want to see it, absolutely don't do that. But think about these things, because you're not going to think of it in the moment, obviously. Cord cutting. Now, my husband he was not into cutting that cord, and so he was like, no, I'm okay, you guys go ahead. Think about that in advance, if you want to do it or if you don't want to do it. If there's somebody else in the room with you, a mom or a mother-in-law, and they want to do it, these are things that in the moment, you obviously are not in the capacity to make the decision, right? But if later on you might look back and think, well, man, I wish I had done that, or I wish I hadn't done that, now is the time to think of those things, okay? You guys have heard about delayed cord clamping, right? Okay. Look into that. Look into whether you do or don't want to do it. I mean, there are some great, wonderful things that they say can happen by delaying the cord clamping. So do your due diligence and see if that's something you want to do. Obviously, skin to skin, I mean, that's just pretty much a given. You really, really should do that. Even if it's not you, even if it's the husband's, if something happens, please make sure your baby gets skin to skin. We'll talk about that too, but it's so important. Rooming in, I think Woodward makes that a policy, but again, these are all things that you want to think about in advance. For boys, look into whether or not you want to have a circumcision, because those decisions are also made pretty much right after birth. I mean, like within the first day of birth. And so if you're not in a capacity to really be weighing the pros and cons of these things, have that decided beforehand. There's other things that are given to your baby. There's different shots and eye drops. Find out all those things that your hospital does as a policy, and look it all up and make sure that you're on board with all those. Obviously they're all safe, and they're all things that, have been done for a long time, but this is just more knowledge that you can have about what to expect and what they're going to do to your baby. Because most of the time they don't tell you. They just take your baby and go give them the shots and put the drops in and do all these things. But you should know. You should be aware. Delayed bathing.
I do know Woodward, they don't ask you if you want to go on ahead and bathe or not. They just automatically wait a day or two.
Yay.
Or
Good.
at least they did with me.
I think
I don't
somebody did tell me
remember.
that.
Baby, do you remember?
They asked you if you wanted the bath, or you wanted to take a shower.
No,
No,
baby.
the baby.
Are we about done? 8 minutes? Okay, well, I'll just finish this slide. Okay, I'm sorry, so they asked you if you wanted to, you think, and then,
I don't remember.
Okay.
They gave me
That's
pain
okay.
medicine and epidural like back to back, so I
So you
was
were-
out of it.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I want to go drug free this time.
Okay. I really hope. By the way, guys, do me a favor, and when after you have your babies, call me, text me, email me, whatever. I want to know. I want to hear your birth story. I want to know what happened. Okay. So, but let's finish this up, and then we'll take a break and get our food and go from there. Okay. So, but delayed bathing. Do you guys know why they say to delay bathing now?
Varnix helps build immunity.
Yes. So all that nasty, cheesy stuff that's on your baby, it looks gross, but it's so good for them. I mean, if you think about your baby has been in a water environment for 9 months and now they're coming out to dry air, that stuff's like lotion. You just want to rub it in. Not hard, obviously, but rub that into their skin, leave it on there. It doesn't need, there's nothing dirty about it. It's just what's been inside your uterus. It's nothing gross. I mean, they'll wipe the blood off of the baby and all that kind of stuff before they put him or her on you. They, they'll, at least to a certain degree. I mean, and maybe they won't. But when it comes to the bathing, it used to be policy just because, I don't know, I guess that's just what you do. You think, oh, there's stuff all over this baby, let's just wash it off. But now that they've found out that that white Vernix is so good for the baby and it's there for a reason and it was there to protect their skin, leave it there. Let it soak in. I think they say wait at least 24 hours before you give any baths. And you can wait longer than that. I mean, your baby's not dirty. They're barely even peeing and pooping yet. There's nothing really to clean. I mean, it's a fun activity, I guess, but trust me, you're gonna get plenty of baths. More than you want. When your kid's old enough to play in the mud, you're gonna be giving them 3 baths a day. So don't rush that first bath. Let all that good stuff soak in. Well, I say that. You do your due diligence and look it up and you decide if that's what you want. That you're the moms and dads, you make the decision. But I'm a big advocate now that I know about it to leave that stuff alone. Consider the fact that you may end up having a C-section and look into your options there. Now I know with Woodward they do skin to skin after C-sections anyways, so that's great. I mean, assuming that you are having a C-section where you're coherent, they're gonna put the baby on your chest to the best of their ability. But you can ask about the other techniques that we come up with music and aromatherapy and turning the lights down, all those things that that you might want in your labor. If you end up having to have a C-section, check with your provider. Say, can I still do these things? I mean, there's going to be a huge spotlight on your belly, so can I have the lights dimmed around me? I mean, they may not. I'm not saying that they will, but you can ask. Because even in this scenario, you still want to be calm. You still want your baby to come into a calm environment and a comforting place on your chest, and so you still want to keep your adrenaline down. I mean, I know a C-section it's hard to do it during that, but that's why you want to ask, what can I do to help with that? Can I still have music? Maybe it's just you putting the music on your phone right next to her, or right next to you guys, and having that calming music, whatever it is. If you don't want inductions, specify that on your birth plan and epidurals and episiotomies, and we've kind of talked about that. So if those are things that you were adamant about, put it on your birth plan. Have room for, other possibilities, but if it's something you really want to put on there, say, look, this is my wish, this is what I'm hoping for, okay? Nail all that down, and that way you know what you are hoping for and expecting and what your goals are. Think of this as a goal list. Some of it are absolutely things that you can make happen, but otherwise it's a goal list of what you want from your birth, okay? Let's stop and